This is Hereward the Woke on Twtwtw. I've just finished doing Britain's answer to the ACCA, which is the Woker. Only it doesn't look as daft. Just keep the bloody 20 pence off New Zealand wine, I don't want it. And if you're having problems with anti-wokes, I'll come round and show it to you. So, what's happening this week in New Borisland? Lost his marbles. Nigel Farage erupted at Boris Johnson over his bizarre animal feeding joke. Boris cracked a joke about improving nature by feeding humans to animals. Don't tell me you've never considered it, Nigel. All those pesky social liberal people, communists you call them, refusing to vote Brexit. Just feed them to the hippos like Pablo Escobar. Well, if the COVID stops working, you can always introduce crocodiles into care homes, Boris. Who else? They're as bad as dull scroungers. Pimlico Plumbers, founder and human monkey wrench, Charlie Mullins, claimed parents who work from home are as bad as benefits cheats, and says it sends the wrong message to children. There's a fundamental error of logic here, Charlie. Dull scroungers don't work, and parents that work from home do. Does Charlie know one end of a leaking pipe from the other? That's what I would like to know. I can imagine hiring one of his plumbers and getting an inflated bill for jobs they haven't even done. Surely not. Go on, Charlie, have a go at everyone, workers and shirkers alike, except bloody plumbers, of course. The news just keeps getting worse, doesn't it? More bad news. Air pollution reduces the mass sperm count through brain inflation. A recent study has suggested. I think it's because you can't count sperm properly with an inflamed brain, can you? This week, a black man was given the longest sentence over the Capitol riots in America, even though he didn't even bloody go. What next? Black people receiving sentences because they were caught thinking about the Capitol riots. If the black man had worn an owned helmet, he could have been called a Native American shaman and let off. Donald Trump was flaming well inciting the riots, but hasn't received a sentence, but then he's not black, is he? This week, Prince Andrew will be invisible for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee events, as the Duke will be in the way. No, he won't. He'll be chubby and overweight, same as usual. Last bloody thing we want is an invisible Prince Andrew. We want to know where the bugger is 24/7. We should buy him a high-vis royal cloak and crown. I had therapy for depression and counsellors laughed in my face, said dour comedian Jack D. Well, there's a first, Jack. People laughing at you. I don't want to make you paranoid, Jack. They were laughing behind your back as well. Ghosts at an haunted mansion are offended by exposed legs and 8 being shouted at by drunks. One of them is Anne Widdicombe, apparently. Katie Price has been banned from coming within half a mile. No wonder he's called Professor Green, said the Daily Mail. The rapper who campaigned on mental health issues with Prince William was caught praising an online cannabis dealer on Instagram to thousands of his followers. Weed apparently makes Professor Green paranoid. It's clever of the government to pick people who kids relate to, so they can talk about their mental health. At least you can't be as mad as those two bastards, kids. Good, innit? Prince William and Professor Green. It's good these people who give themselves fantasy titles, isn't it? It's called delusions of grandeur. And on top of that, there's still an increasing mental health problem in the UK. Not surprising, is it? This week, a Cambridge University College handed back a looted bronze cockerel to Nigeria. It makes you wonder how much stuff in Oxford and Cambridge is in fact looted from other countries, probably at gunpoint. I don't think we have any far-right libertarian culture of our own. It's all bloody nicked, isn't it? Unfortunately, the cockerel was handed back to a prince who had sent Cambridge University 400 emails. It's Halloween, so thoughts turn to Michael Jackson. His son Prince still hears his late father's voice. "He's my moral compass," he said. If you were buying a moral compass on eBay, you wouldn't rush to buy the Michael Jackson one, would you? They're on offer, half price apparently. One of the most difficult pieces of news to comprehend were the fact that Pablo Escobar's cocaine hippos are people too, a US court ruled. Proving that judges in the USA must have an enormous cocaine habit that's addled their bloody brains. Another headline: Pandemic boosts demand for exorcisms as people fall prey to malign forces and poverty. I would have thought spending £100 on an exorcism is exactly the same as falling prey to malign forces and poverty. You don't buy a bloody diesel car to improve your carbon footprint, do you? Well, tourism readers of the Sun and Telegraph do. This week it was revealed that a prisoner was driving Dominic Raab around in an HGV, who had been jailed for importing drugs in a lorry. He might still be, for all we know. That Dominic Raab is a bit dodgy, isn't he? Anyway, I thought the prisoners were meant to be on the inside, and us law-abiding people were on the outside doing crappy jobs. But under Boris, it's the other way round now. A drug-dealing prisoner. The Tories, who used to boast about being the party of law and order, couldn't wait to snap him up, could they? Talking about law and order, rapper Fetty Wap was arrested on federal drug charges and was taken into custody by FBI agents. There's no point in learning rappers' names, is there? As soon as you've learned them, they're either dead or in prison. The gutter press used to snarl about bands and musicians corrupting young people and leading them astray. But now, if young people die in London, it's Sadiq Khan's bloody fault, isn't it? And not the rappers. But then the gutter press are part of the same bloody gang, as we all know. This has been Hereward the Woke on Twtwtw's 300th show. So let's hope the planet lasts another 5 years. We'll be bloody lucky, won't we? We're all looking forward to COP26, aren't we? Or CO2 as we call it here. Have another happy Halloween!